everyone, this is Mr. Honey. Today we are going to be moving into the fourth 9 weeks with our topic on adolescence. It's one that's very, very popular in human development because it ultimately relates to you guys in the current age you are in. So we have a little pre-notes and then we're going to do a little pre-test today. These are just sort of notes just to kind of get you in the mindset of what we're going to be talking about. And then we're going to see what you guys already know in regards to this pre-test. So, what is adolescence? So, this is a period of transition from child to adult. Now, keep in mind, this is not to be confused with like puberty, which is more of a physical change. Adolescence is a period of time versus puberty is more of the actual changing in transition. So, typically, adolescence is between 12 to 19, but can also be 11 to 19, depending on how you look at it. But oftentimes, gets 12 to 19 and then has many cultural milestones such as like driving, turning 18, getting to vote. A lot of big celebrations in terms of birthdays are celebrated during adolescence. So, for example, people becoming teenagers at 13. Um, Also, bar mitzvah at 13. You have your quinceanera, and then also, and some people they consider it sweet 16. So, a lot of big things are happening during adolescence as one is becoming an adult. So, there are many characteristics associated with adolescence. One of the biggest ones is age segregation or being age segregated, which means is you tend to hang out with people your own age. High schoolers tend to hang out with high schoolers. You don't see a lot of high schoolers hanging out with middle schoolers or elementary school kids. So then you have what's known as prolonged economic dependency, which means that you're growing more independent, but you still need your caretaker's help. Many of you still need to rely on your parents to put a roof over your head, but you're developing that that sense of becoming independent. Developing strong issues or strong opinions on social issues in society. What you see in the news, you have an opinion about. It's becoming less about what your parents think and becoming more about what you think and having more thoughts about that. And then also the influence by mass media, which means that you're heavily stimulated by what's on the screen and what's in the earbuds. All right. So you have a large amount of or mass media has a large amount of influence on you, and you can develop your thoughts and opinions based on. So, how are we going to study this unit? We're going to look at the different stages of teenage development through several issues or several lenses. So, there's all this that's listed right here. And this looks a lot of, this can look very, very confusing. And now I will say, if you're a psychological person, if you're interested in theory, this is going to be a very fun unit for you. Obviously, we're going to be taking it from different perspectives and things like that. So, you guys will be able to see a lot of differences as we go through. So, when we think about physical changes, we're looking at how the body is changing, what influences these bodily changes, and how do adolescents respond to these changes. All right, so these are not questions that need to be answered right now, but these are going to be the questions that we ask. So, this is what we're going to be learning in that. We're going to be looking at cognitive changes, in other words, the mind. So, what are things that you want to learn about, and how do you learn? And then, what consumes the majority of your thoughts? All right. So, we're going to be looking at those cognitive changes. You guys think a lot differently than elementary school kids. All right. And there's a reason for that. And we're going to be looking at why these changes happen. Emotional development. This is the biggest one. Adolescents are known for having risk taking behaviors. And then also, what emotions consume an adolescent? Obviously, in our previous thing, we talked about the 7 different emotions from our sad fish emoji boards. But what of these emotions do you guys feel the most? And what is the intensity of these emotions? And why do we feel this way? Next, we're going to be looking at moral development. So, things about right and wrong. What type of decisions do adolescents have to make? What are the decisions that you have to make that are different than elementary school kids or, middle school kids and things like that, or as you become an adult? And then, what influences these decisions? Next, we're going to be looking at psychosocial development. And then is adolescence just one major identity crisis? Is this just a phase we go through where we don't really know a lot about ourselves? We don't really know how we think. We don't really know how we are placed in the world. But this is a big part. And we're going to be asking questions and figuring out how does an adolescent figure out their identity and who they are, and how much influence does our friends and family have on who we are. A lot of people say absolutely your friends and family have that, but other people say things such as like, oh, you know, they don't really have that much influence on me. I'm the lone wolf. I do I do everything on my own, and I don't care about anyone else's opinion. But we're gonna be looking at psychosocial development and sort of think about that. We're also going to be looking at social development. Very, very important. What kind of language do you guys use with each other? All right. And then how do adolescents choose your peer groups? How much influence does that group have? And then also, how do adolescents choose who to date? And how important is dating in present day society? Dating looks a lot different than it did even when I was in high school, or even when your parents were in high school, or things like that. So we're going to be looking at that as well.